Ready whenever you are, council member.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm at-large council member Anita Bonds, chairperson of the Committee on Executive Administration and Labor. The time is 9:36 a.m. on Friday, March 24, 2023. We are meeting virtually via Zoom to convene a roundtable to discuss the 6 weeks Marion S. Berry Summer Youth Employment Program, SYEP, that is administered by the Department of Employment Services, that is DOES. This roundtable is limited in scope and will be open to government witnesses only. Today, we are holding the first of several public roundtables that will inform the public on the planning, administration, and the anticipated outcome of the Summer Youth Employment Program, otherwise known as SYEP. The SYEP is one of the district's most important and successful programs for engaging and supporting our young people during their out-of-school vacation summertime each year. The program is locally funded. The initiative provides district youth and young adults ages 14 to 24 with enriching and constructed summer work experiences through subsidized placements in the private and government employment sectors. Through SYEP, a young person in the district can earn money, gain meaningful work experience, and exposure to various exciting career industries. The SYEP began during the first of 4 Mayor Marion Berry administrations and has been continued through the decades. Mayor Bowser, through her administrations, has broadened the program's objectives to include all participants that register as long as the government has the resources. Traditionally, there's a strong interest in the SYEP program with over 19,000 district youth applying to participate each year. The 2023 registration deadline has passed a few weeks ago. The FY23 program is required to serve a minimum of 10,000 youth beginning the last week of June of 2023, and it's likely to only serve approximately 14,000 youth this year unless additional funding can be identified. The district would benefit greatly from increasing the number of youth that are able to participate. In addition to meaningful work experience, the program gives district youth opportunities to develop life skills, plan for their future education and careers, and connect with their community through civic engagement projects. Furthermore, studies have shown that by providing youth with a set of socially productive activities and or disrupting potential delinquent activities, that the SYEP may decrease the risk of exposure to or participation in violent behavior. In this roundtable, we will explore ways the broad community can engage and support as many district youth as possible. And let me continue by, I'm checking, all right. I was going to recognize any of my colleagues that might have joined our roundtable this morning, but I see none. And so therefore, I will now call our government witness, Director Morris Hughes, the Director of the Department of Employment Services, where the SYE program originates from, that manages the process and provides us with outstanding outcomes. Director Hughes, I'll now swear you in. Please raise your right hand. All right. Do you swear and affirm that your testimony and any statements that you make before us today to be truthful and complete?
I do.
All right, thank you. And please begin when you're ready.
Okay. Good morning, Chairperson Bonds, council members and the staff of the Committee on Executive, and this is a new title for me, so I have to get used to saying, but Committee on the Executive Administration and Labor. I am Dr. Unique Morris Hughes, Director of the Department of Employment Services. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you to discuss the continued success of the Marion S. Berry Summer Youth Employment Program. Since establishment in 1979, MBSYEP has been providing summer jobs for DC youth for many in the district. It's often the first job or formal work experience they have. MBSYEP alums have gone on to do great things, and we're proud to see that quite a few serve among the ranks of district government agencies and even council members. The program has evolved over the years. In 2015, Mayor Bowser changed the name from the Summer Youth Employment Program to MBSYEP in honor of Mayor Marion S. Berry, and she expanded the program to accommodate older youth. Today, MBSYEP provides district youth between the ages of 14 and 24 with an enriching and constructive summer employment experience through subsidized placements in the public and private sectors. It continues to be the largest summer youth employment program per capita in the country, and it serves as a national model. The program seeks to provide young people with the opportunity to earn money and gain meaningful work experience, learn and develop the skills, attitudes, and commitment needed to succeed in today's workforce, gain exposure to a variety of exciting career opportunities and industries, and interact with supportive working professionals in a positive work environment. We do this by providing short-term employment and training to our youth through opportunities that will positively impact their future. We're grateful to the partners in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area who continue to volunteer to serve as hosts to over 10,000 young people in the district every single year. I'd like to share with you a few program highlights and successes from recent years. As I mentioned during my performance oversight hearing testimony, we achieved a major milestone in FY22 as we surpassed the $1 million mark in scholarships given through the Mayor's Opportunity Scholarship to MBSYEP participants. In the last 6 years, $1.2 million in scholarships has been awarded to 479 MBSYEP youth who are enrolled in post-secondary education, occupational skills training, or they have joined the military. Each recipient is awarded between $2,000 and $4,000. Under Mayor Bowser's leadership, the program's developed critical partnerships and achieved significant milestones. In 2011, the Office of Youth Programs partnered with the Department of Insurance Insurance Securities and Banking for Bank on DC to provide participants with access to affordable, safe financial products and services. In 2012, we expanded our partnership with the Bank on DC to create the Young Money Managers Program, which is a peer-to-peer financial education program designed to empower youth to become financial literacy trainers for various MBSYEP hosts and sites. In 2019, Mayor Bowser announced a 5-year, $2.25 million partnership with the Office of Comptroller of the Currency. For the 4th consecutive year, interns have received valuable on-the-job training and exposure to the financial services regulatory sector. Last year, the program also included high school interns who were placed at the Federal Housing Finance Administration, the National Credit Union Administration, and the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Interns in this program received a wage of $20 an hour. That's right, Councilmember Bonds, $20 an hour, stipends for professional attire, and even a lunch per diem. To date, we've served approximately 400 young people in this partnership. In 2020, while other major summer youth employment programs were shuttered because of COVID-19 pandemic, your very own DOES pivoted to run a 100% virtual program. We know the pandemic magnified inequities for many young people. I'm proud that amid the great uncertainty of the early days of the pandemic, we were able to ensure that DCU still had access to safe, constructive, and valuable work experiences. Recreational sports and childcare continue to be our top 2 career interest selections, which is why we've continued to fund a partnership with DPR. DPR hosts over 900 young people between the ages of 14 and 24 last summer. Participants worked as summer camp counselors, maintenance, or even food service specialists, administrative aides, lifeguards, and much more. MBSYEP strives to ensure that our young people have opportunities in a variety of industries, but especially those where minorities are underrepresented. Host employers like Young Doctors DC help to close the gap by providing interns with an introduction to the medical field. The Young Doctors DC program serves as a pipeline for young people to get into healthcare careers. Teens spend a month each summer living at Howard University, attending medical school classes, and even shadowing doctors. In FY22, the Mayor's Office on Volunteerism and Partnership, Serve DC, in partnership with the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, was awarded $150,000 by JP Morgan Chase as part of the 5-year, $30 billion commitment to advance racial equity across the United States. With these additional funds, MBSYEP youth hosted at Serve DC received an increased wage of $20 per hour, which is over 30% more than the minimum wage. In FY22, our MBSYEP program hosted and employed over 12,000 young people across over 600 sites over the last summer. Over 56% of them come from Ward 7 and 8, and almost 90% of them are African American. The second largest racial category of participants was Hispanic and Latino. Of those who applied to the program, almost 4,000 reported receiving supplemental nutrition assistance through the SNAP program, and over 1,200 receiving TANF. 153 said that they were experiencing homelessness, and 58 of our young people are wards of the state. 188 of our youth were also justice involved. We're continuing to make our comeback from the pandemic, and this year we hope to employ more youth than in previous years. Applications are now closed, and we received over 19,000 applications. We currently have over 470 host applications, and hosts can still sign up through June 1st. We would sincerely appreciate the committee's support in encouraging employers to sign up as hosts, and your offices are not on the list already. We'd like to have you. In conclusion, MBSYEP is a pivotal entry point into the world of work for many young Washingtonians. Early work experiences can be incredibly formative for our young people as they help to make connections with employers, build soft skills, and help youth develop an understanding that they can succeed in the workplace. I'd like to thank my staff who worked so hard to make this program a success. MBSYEP is an enormous undertaking, but DOES is always up for the challenge. Thank you so much, Chairperson Bonds and other members of the committee, for the opportunity to speak with you today. This concludes my formal testimony.
Thank you so very much, Director, for that informative opportunity to take a very close look at the summer employment program for our young people. You have challenged my office, and we are accepting the challenge, as you well know, to join with the 400 host locations. So sign us up, and we'll take a number that you feel is appropriate for a council office, and we'll find a place for folk to sit when they're inside. But primarily, I'm sure we'll take them into the community where they will want to learn more about the neighborhoods of the District of Columbia. I just wanted to ask you, you say that employees can still sign up. Is there a deadline for identifying more locations?
So our deadline is June 1st. And we encourage everyone to visit summerjobs.dc.gov to learn more about what it means to be a host site and sign up. But June 1st is our target cutoff date.
All right, and that location again is
.dc.gov.
Okay, all right. And we'll try to get that out and encourage my
Wonderful.
colleagues to do the same. I think it's such an important opportunity for the community, given where we are as a society and we say, oh, DC is going to recover. Well, this will be one of the best ways to help with the recovery. And that's to pay more attention to the needs of our young people. So thank you very much for that. In your presentation, you mentioned scholarships. 479 have received over $1 million. And I wondered how are these individuals selected, or how have they been selected? And are you planning on using the same approach for selection of additional scholastic winners?
Yeah, so it's really quite a simple process. We release an application. It's an online application on the summerjobs.dc.gov website. You have to be a participant and you have to successfully complete. We do not have a grade point average requirement, but we do require that the participant is a DC resident or a ward of the state. It's a simple application, and many young people complete the application without any issue or incident.
All right, so in FY22 last year, how many completed the application? Do you have that number?
So I don't have the total number of, oh, I do. Over 500 young people.
Okay,
completed.
applied.
Yes.
Okay, and how many were selected from that group?
101, and we awarded approximately $264,500 in scholarships.
All right. So I'd like to add to your challenge of identifying locations and seeing if we cannot also identify maybe individuals as well as the commercial community and our nonprofit community that want to be a partner with you in providing some scholarship money so that we can at least get, maybe we could get to 1,000 scholarships. I'm assuming this scholarship money will help the young person with higher education or with their, I guess, vocational education that they may want to do so that they will effectively move into the jobs market, so to speak.
Yeah. And Councilmember Bonds, it's also for young people who have decided to pursue a career in the armed services. And so that funding can be used to support a transition into the military as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. You also mentioned that recreation and sports careers were favorites of the participants, and you do a lot of that with the Department of Parks and Recreation, and the counselors, lifeguards, etc. I'm curious about the lifeguard program in particular, because I think most recently we saw an advertisement online and other places where the department is recruiting lifeguards. So what my question is, how does the recruitment for the lifeguards mesh into lifeguards that come through the summer program?
So those are really two separate sets of activities. First of all, I have to give a shout out to Director Hunter at DPR and his amazing team and what they do, not just all year round, but especially in the summer. But the recruitment that they're doing for lifeguards is completely separate from what we do. We provide young people, and they're essentially junior lifeguards. They have an aptitude for swimming, and we teach them how to be lifeguards. They get their first experience as a lifeguard. DOES through the SYEP program covers their wages. So they're not necessarily employees of DPR like the recruiting that they're doing now, but they're like junior lifeguards.
All right, that's great to know. And so for the Young Money Management Program, is the intention that those who do well in that particular program or part of the program would seek careers in financial services, with credit unions, with banks, or is it just to give everyone who is a participant an appetite for managing their own financial affairs?
I think it's twofold, and I think that there's a bonus third objective. I mean, one, it is an introduction to careers in financial services, which is a very profitable industry that will never go away. Like banking and securities will be here until the end of time. The second is to provide some financial awareness and financial literacy skills to our young people. Now they are earning their first check. And it's important that we start at an early age and we teach them how to manage their money effectively. That's the second goal. And by doing peer-to-peer work and teens supporting each other, we have found that that is in a successful way of teaching other young people how to manage their own finances. The third, which I think is a bonus, is that, this is really disrupting cycles of poverty. And let me explain why. We have many people in the District of Columbia who come from communities of color. For many reasons, they are unbanked. Maybe they may have had a prior negative experience with the bank. Perhaps they're untrusting or distrusting of financial institutions. Perhaps they just haven't been exposed to banking. By teaching young people the importance of financial literacy and money management, they have the ability to not only show their siblings, their parents, their grandparents, but there's a multi-generational impact when a young person can come back to their family unit and show and teach and share what they have learned in terms of financial literacy. And I think that's an added bonus that I certainly value. And so it's why we continue to invest in the program, and it's why we continue to support the program.
I appreciate that comment, which leads me to trying to understand whether or not you have support from the Financial Literacy Council, which is in Disby. I wonder, do they work with you on this? I know that they do some forums in the public schools, but I wondered if they are also working with you.
So we work very closely with Disby. We probably see Disby more in the summer than most of our agencies. And so I'm not directly engaged in the Financial Literacy Council. However, Disby does work very closely with us. I mean, they come up with the curriculum, they're hosting a large number of the young money managers. So yes, through Disby.
All right, well, that's good to know. And it just seems to me, maybe you'll see a recommendation that you become a little more involved with the Financial Literacy Council. I think everyone who is touching all of us in government and in the private sector that are touching our young people have more opportunity to give and get them excited, motivated to build successful lives. And so just stay tuned. We'll talk about that later. Thank you so much for that.
And Councilmember Bonds, can I just add another important feature is that through this program, we've been able to secure a partnership with the DC Federal Credit Union. And so all of our participants can get a free DC Federal Credit Union bank account, which is amazing. I wish I had that as a young person. And so not only do they learn the importance of financial institutions, they can have exposure to careers in finances and security banking, but they can get an account at the DC Federal Credit Union, which, we want your help in highlighting and raising that as a positive aspect of SYEP as well.
I most certainly will and happy to do that. Let me ask then, what is the criteria for application? And what I'm really asking, would completing the application process, if each participant is required to have a parent or guardian, if they're under the age of 18, would that be one of the requirements? Because whenever we talk about all the good work we're doing, sometimes we don't give all of the information, and then folk try to make application and somehow there's a pause.
Are you saying the application for SYEP itself or for
Oh, no, for the credit union account.
So I
Yes.
believe they're non-custodial accounts. And a young person, I think at the age of 14 can sign up themselves if they're unable to get the support and help of a parent.
Okay, that's very important. Thank you so much. So we will certainly be pushing for young people to do that and to learn to manage their money. You mentioned in the at the top of your presentation that approximately 153 of the participants are categorized as homeless, and 3,000 receive SNAP. I guess my question is, how can we, as you move into 2024, how can we get more of our homeless youth? Let's just say we know they say that homelessness will be with us, no matter what we do. And so that be the case, how can we increase the number of young people that are homeless? Young people that are, let's say, that are in households that receive TANF assistance. In other words, those that are most in need described as without the financial wherewithal to navigate the high cost of living. How can we push to get those individuals more engaged in the program?
So the team that I have, the Office of Youth Programs team, does a great job at going in every corner of the city and every ward, registering young people and encouraging them to sign up for SYEP. We've gone to shelters in the past, rec centers, you name it, we will go. And so that will continue, that will never stop. Now, what's interesting is that the homeless number is self-reported. So we have young people who self-report that they are homeless. It could mean that they are doubled up and sharing a home with someone else or another family, or they could be sheltered, or they could be in some other set of circumstances. We'll continue to work with our community-based organizations and DHS to continue to get the word out. But I want to reiterate, we pride ourselves on opening SYEP up to every single young person who wants a summer job, and we'll continue to do that. So if you have recommendations to others that we should be talking to, I'd be happy to send my team out next year because the application is closed.
Yes.
unless there's some additional resources that come in play, but I'm happy to send my team out to talk to anyone to help register more youth for SYEP.
All right, we'd love to work with you on that. I think that one of the immediate goals of our government must be to get the resources to those that are feeling and who express that they are without the resources to navigate, the environment in which we all are living in. High cost is high cost, and if you have few, those with the fewest dollars are probably suffering the most. And so we want to do all that we can as we are focused on the entire city and its people making full recovery from the pandemic and the economic downturn. Can you walk us through the annual process of the Summer Youth Employment Program and where you are currently in the timeline?
Sure. So SYEP application opens usually the last week in January. And so it's an online application. Young people and their families go to summerjobs.dc.gov to complete an application. Once the application closes, which usually is sometime in the end of February, then we begin the certification process. The certification process is a process that we use to validate residency and other key data points that allows us to determine if the young person is eligible to participate in the Summer Youth Employment Program. Certification usually ends sometime the beginning to middle of March. We usually end it with our annual March Madness, not to be mistaken with the housing March Madness or the DIMPED March Madness, but this is the SYEP March Madness certification event, which is an all call for everyone to come out and get the required documentation needed for participation in the SYEP program. Then from there, my staff goes to work on validating all of the data and information we've received. Then after that occurs, and that occurs between end of March and May, while we're also getting host sites signed up and trained, then we have an orientation. I'm sorry, I missed a step. There's usually a notification to young people that they've been certified and that they're able to participate in the program. After that is the orientation. Orientations occur between the months of May and June. And then right before the program starts, from I would say middle of June to end of June, young people receive notification of where their host site is and where they will be working or what they will be doing in the summer. And SYEP then starts the end of June. It's usually the last week of June to the first week in August.
All right, so when we talk about the notice, you notice to the participants, is that done in April or May?
The notice that they're eligible to participate in the program,
Yes,
and that they have been notified, or in that and that they need to attend orientation, that happens between end of April and I would say could go as late as the first week in June.
all right. And so so then the notice, when they do orientation, is that when they actually get maybe a slip of paper or on their smartphone, an indication of their job description and their host's report site?
So it's all done virtually. And it's in a online application. Many of the young people pull it up on their cell phone. It's called the portal. We affectionately name it the portal. And they will get notification likely in June between the middle of June and end of June of what they're going to be doing or working. Now, it's really important to note that our 14 and 15-year-olds are usually placed at a host site that's going to provide an exploratory career experience, not necessarily a physical job site. Some of our 14-year-olds are not actually ready yet to come in to work, although some may, but for their first experience, we want to kind of ease them in. So those folks aren't necessarily placed in a job, but notification comes out between middle of June and end of June of where they will be placed for the summer.
Wow, if I were a 14 or 15-year-old, I could think of some of the projects that I'd like to work on. I hope that there will be some who will take advantage of that and step forward. So many 14 and 15-year-olds are pretty, savvy and can help us come up with some discovery kinds of activities that they would be interested in.
Yes, and Councilmember Bonds, my team just flagged for me, and I can't believe I didn't mention this, but we have an annual SYEP job fair. This year's job fair is April 20th, and it's an opportunity for host sites and our SYEP potential interns to see what's out there in terms of summer jobs. And so it's a great opportunity. Young people from across the city come to, well, this year will be Arena Stage. They will see tables and booths of different host sites. Where they can leave their name and information to learn more. And it helps us facilitate a match when we have host sites and SYEP interns that want to be paired together. We also have resources. So we bring other departments at the Department of Employment Services there to table, other DC government agencies there to table and provide information. My hope is that this year, maybe we can get you to come out and walk through. It's April 20th at the Arena Stage, and I'll make sure my team provides your team the information.
Thank you. I made a notation and I do plan on being there. So thank you very much for that invite. This is my first year of working with the workforce and labor community across the board. And so I'm really excited about where we're trying to go and getting people jobs and making sure that those that have jobs get to stay in their jobs, and certainly make sure that our labor unions are managed, effectively, and that their employees are very comfortable, and that we recognize people for the good work that they're doing. It's been tough during the pandemic. It still remains tough for many. Some are still not able to get back, effectively before the public on these jobs. And we know what's happening across our city. We have not been able to induce even the federal government, the mighty federal government, to come back in full force. And so we understand that there are still challenges that we have to mount, and we have to do them so that our young people can have a sense of their destiny as well. That's why we do all of this. And I hope that the public is very much aware of the work that we have to do. So thank you very much for that. I wanted to just ask a little bit about, you're saying that the host sites, the host community will actually be in place, not all 400 at Arena Stage, but a representative numbers. That pretty much what we can anticipate.
That's
Okay.
correct. That is
Okay.
absolutely correct.
All right. So how many participants have registered for this year's program that will begin the last week in June?
So we have had 19,621 young people submit applications. To date, we have had 12,078 complete certification. We're still reviewing certifications. And like I mentioned, when I described what the process is, it will be ongoing. To date, we have 482 host sites that have signed up, and our projected service level this year is 14,195. So we will place 14,195 young people in jobs across 482 host sites.
Okay, thank you. And when you say certification is ongoing, does the certification require, let's say, documentation of the vaccination against COVID?
We're currently not requiring a vaccine
Okay,
card.
all right. Thank you. Can you remind us of the budget for the current program FY23?
The FY23 budget is $29,917,803.56.
Okay, 29,000.
29
29
million,
million, okay,
$917,803.
all right.
Of which I think is important to note, 10.9 million of that is ARPA funded. And you know, our ARPA funding is winding down in the next
Yes.
fiscal year. So 10.9 million in ARPA is our
All right.
of the 29 million.
So if we wanted to replicate what we are anticipating you're able to do during this year, if we wanted to replicate it in 2024, next year, we probably would have to come up with a good 10, 11 million more.
To continue to be funded at the same service level as last year. The $10 million in ARPA will have to be replaced. Now, the good news is that as part of our the budget that I believe we'll be hearing more about very soon, that we have a plan in place to do that. And I don't want to get too far ahead of the details of the budget. I know we've already heard from the mayor earlier this week at the council breakfast, but we do have a plan in place to keep the same and current service level.
And I certainly would support that. I think engaging our young people, moving them closer to where they will be in society is very, very important. So count on me to be a part of whatever you need in that regard.
Thank you.
How many participants are enrolled and then they drop during the program? Maybe give us statistics from the 22 program.
So our attrition level, our attrition rate hovers around 10%. And I think that's pretty consistent over the last 5 years. About 10% of the young people disengage during the summer for different reasons. Some decide to leave the program early. They go on summer vacation with their family. Others find employment outside of SYEP. Now that our minimum wage is competitive, you know, we have young people who are pursuing other jobs. We've had some young people who start work that are college students and they return back to school. Let's see. And then we have some young people who find other kind of programming that may be connected to their high school of record, and they decide to join or engage in that programming.
Okay, how many jobs are in the, I guess I'll call it the different occupations of the 482 sites you've identified thus far? How
Yeah.
many are, let's say, in financial services, medical services?
So I think it would be helpful first, and I think my team might have some additional data if I talk about this from a sector,
Okay,
which is how we capture the data. So I'm going to give you last year's number of the 617 host sites that we had last year. 241 of them were in our community-based organizations. Those are local CBOs. We had 50 different local government host sites. So that could be across district agencies, programs and offices and bureaus and district agencies. We've had 27 federal government. This is probably since 2020, the highest that we have had since the pandemic. So we had 27 last year. We've had 68 different schools. So that's LEAs and campuses with LEAs, including DCPS, that have signed up to be host sites. And then we've had 231 private sector host sites that signed up last year.
and of the private sector, what are the kinds of services they provide? Do you have any indication of that?
So it really runs the gambit. IT, administrative, very small number of retail and hospitality, professional services. So that's anything office work and related, is the majority of the private sector jobs that we have.
All right, what about our legal community law offices and firms?
I'll see if we have some data on the number of legal jobs that we have. I mean, certainly as part of the private sector, we do have some legal opportunities. I'll see if we can track that number down. If I can't find it before the hearing, we'll share it. Before the hearing is over, we'll share it with you.
All right, and would you also give us some indication of those that are in with real estate entities?
Yes. So we'll track down real estate and legal and any other industries in the private sector that I have not highlighted.
Yes, and those that are have contracts through DC government.
Now, that's an interesting data point, and we haven't tracked that. That will probably take a little more work. Let me look into that. Let me look into that one.
It just, as you're talking, it makes me think that those who are contractors for our government, surely they would want our young people to succeed. And I'm sure they are already on board, but you'll be able to provide the data soon and we'll know.
Yeah, we have, and I have supported last year first source agreements that included SYEP opportunities. So we can expose young people to opportunities in the trades and other, other disciplines and fields. I think we have just a handful of first source agreements that included SYEP. I'm going to ask my team to see if they can pull that list. My guess is it's probably less than 5, but let me see what we can pull and I'd be happy to share it.
Yes, I think that's important because, and that just leaves me to, just sort of inquire about those who are part of our first source agreement arrangements. When they are out of compliance, I believe they pay a fee. And what happens to that fee?
So they do pay a fine. We do assess a fine and potentially a penalty. It
Mhm.
usually happens at the end of the project. For some of our projects, we have created alternative plans that we finalize prior to the start of the project, which could be a negotiated fine or substituted compliance. Like I
So substituted compliance. So that means that most do not pay the fine
No,
and
no,
the
no, no,
penalty.
not necessarily. As part of substituted compliance, you could pay um an agreed upon amount versus a fine.
Okay.
Yep.
And could you get me some information before we have an opportunity to talk with you later in April about sort of like a status report on that First Source program? It may be enough resources that can be identified that would help us to to address this $10 million deficit we're anticipating next year.
So the First Source agreement, and I'd love to have a separate briefing with you about First Source. The First Source program really funds itself. So there are compliance specialists that we fund from the penalties and fines that we assess. And those folks help us to ensure compliance. Now, on the $10 million ARPA gap, we do have a solution in the budget, which you'll hear a little bit more about this afternoon from the mayor in place. So I think we may have covered the $10 million gap, but that only keeps us at the current service level. That
Right.
doesn't get us, beyond the 14,000 young people that we plan
Right.
on serving.
Right, exactly. And I'm particularly interested in us doing everything that we can to have every young person who is interested and who is willing to be a part of the program, to be a part. So it will definitely be more dollars. But yes, so if we could get some sort of status update, including the salaries of these individuals that are compliance officials, that would be very helpful. And maybe we could, if we could get that, I guess, maybe like the 5th or 6th of April.
Yes, I'll have my team
Okay.
start working.
Thank you.
On that.
Thank you so much. Do you survey the participants before and after the program? I mean, do they give you some feedback as to, I signed up for this, I love it, I signed up for something else, you put me there, I hate it, do you get any kind of feedback from my young?
We do an annual survey where our young people tell us just that. They enjoyed their summer, they didn't enjoy their summer. We do it every single year. And we use it to drive and our program planning for the next summer. So we do have that information.
All right, and I'm now wondering, in the survey returns, do the respondents give you enough information to help drive the kinds of occupations or skill sets that they wish they had learned or that they learned?
I actually think we do a pretty good job at survey. I think I'm all surveyed out with SYEP. Not only do we do a survey, we do an annual report, and I do an annual independent evaluation. So I have someone that we contract from the outside do an evaluation of our program. And that helps to inform our decision making as well. And we've hosted focus groups, they host focus groups. So we get a wide variety and various, sources sharing their thoughts and about their experience.
Okay. Now, are you planning on doing a citywide closing program or celebration at the end of the session?
Every year, absolutely.
Okay.
Every
All
year.
right.
The
So that
highlight
will
of the summer.
continue. Okay.
We will not stop that. And it's a sight to be seen. Young people and their families, they come out, they get dressed up. Our host sites are there. We award host sites. We award youth. The scholarship winners are honored. We will make sure you have an invitation this year so you can attend if you're available.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will plan on
August 4th.
that.
August 4th is the date.
August 4th. Okay. What about uniforms? Would uniforms make any sense? I know that I see young people in the summer with various T-shirts on, but I'm just wondering, just curious.
You know, I've engaged in this discussion in the past. I don't think, and I have pretty strong opinions about it. I don't think uniforms make the most sense here, but certainly teaching young people about appropriate dress and attire is important. Vouchers for clothing, that could potentially work, but not uniforms. We don't necessarily want young people to feel isolated in the workplace. And then, there's this whole discussion, and I'd be happy to chat with you about it another time, about kind of respectability politics and what people should wear or should look like in the workplace, and how that impacts young people of color in a different way. So I don't think uniforms are the best thing, but perhaps vouchers for professional attire and dress, seminars on professional attire and dress, which we have done and our organizations do every year. Now that is something that could be impactful.
And will you have seminars on dressing for impact this year?
I will make sure at the job fair we have a seminar for dressing for impact this year. Our federal partners have done a fabulous job. They've provided vouchers for clothing, which is amazing. So young people get to go to the federal agency and they fit and assimilate right in. And that sort of thing I encourage and support.
All right. Thank you for that. And let's see how we can help with that.
And Ms. Chairwoman, our orientation does cover a section on professional dress and attire. And I think there's lots of ways that we can approach it. In our Project Empowerment program, we have a clothes closet downstairs where we've been able to give people clothes. We've worked with organizations like Martha's Table and others to connect people to clothing. Our federal partners give out vouchers so you can purchase clothes at a department store. There's lots of different things that I think we can discuss.
Okay, let's do that. That sounds exciting. I'm thinking about some of the women's organizations in particular that are always looking for a way to strut their stuff. So let's see what they can strut for our young ladies in particular. Okay, thank you. Administratively, what is your staffing pattern for this year's summer program?
We're very lean. We're a very lean when I tell you the number, you're going to be so surprised that we do all of this with such a lean team. But I have 44 FTEs for summer. And then we usually bring on summer part-time, or not part-time, but short-term summer hires. We bring on probably about 30 people to help us run summer. But those folks are only there during the course of the SYEP program. And think about it, we run payroll for half the size of DC government every week. And we don't miss a payroll. That is important to me. So we have a very lean but mighty team. And they're really hands down one of the most phenomenal groups of people I've ever worked with. I put them up against any team in the District of Columbia any day.
All right, well, you bit off the payroll piece, and that's my next question. So how are the kids paid and what is the frequency of the pay period? And then talk a little bit about how you handle problems, where individuals say, I didn't get my pay, my pay was wrong, you gave me an hour off, I only worked, all those great questions that I'm sure you get every year.
Yep. So how are kids paid? Kids are paid one of two ways. Either they get a US bank card, and that card is through the District of Columbia. It's a pay card. It's not a bank account. So if they are not banked, that's how they will receive their money. Or they are paid through their own banking institution. That is what we want. We want young people banked. We want them to be accountable and responsible, and have their paychecks deposited into their very own bank account. And thanks to the DC Federal Credit Union, we've been able to do that at no cost. If and when there are payroll issues, they can work through their host site to resolve the payroll issues. We have a whole FAQ and information on summerjobs.dc.gov on how to navigate pay issues. Young people can see in their portal the number of hours that they work at all times. So this is electronic. Young people, we encourage them to track and check their portal the same way that DC government employees go into PeopleSoft and check their time. It's a pretty straightforward process that I think that we've been able to perfect over time. We usually only have, a few number compared to how large the program is, of payroll resolutions that we work out.
Okay, and you mentioned that direct deposit, using their own banking institution. Now, direct deposit, how does that work for the young people? And what I'm asking is, the program is 6 weeks. The banking institution usually operates on a 30-day time frame. And so I'm just wondering, if I sign up and I work my first 2 weeks, am I going to get, will my bank have received the direct deposit so that 15 days from my start date, I can look on the portal and see that I have 2 weeks at my banking institution?
Great question. Great question. So we want young people starting in the certification process leading up to the month of June to put their bank account information in the portal. We do not want you to wait until the day before you're supposed to get paid to put your routing number and your account number in the system. Because just like you said, it takes some time to validate the information, and we don't want to be in a situation where the money is sent to the bank and then it comes back. We actually do what we call a pre-note test. We check the validity of every bank account, and we will test the routing number and the account number before the payments actually occur. But young people should put in their portal their bank account information now. Let me make sure with my team is that's possible. They can go in and put their bank account in. Perfect. So they can go in right now and put their bank account information in. Do not wait until June. Also, at the April 20th job fair, we will have banks on site where young people can sign up and for a bank account as well.
All right, and the DC Credit Union will be there as well.
I will make sure that they are there.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. All right, it sounds exciting. I want to see. Thank you so much. What standards are staff held to in helping a participant that has to get their pay corrected? And I'm asking, when you call into a government office, it says, I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Are we thinking 24 hours? Are we thinking 3 days? I just want to be able to convey effectively, through my constituent services staff
Yep.
to the parents and to the individuals that may reach out for help.
Yeah, so 24 to 48 hours is a reasonable response time, of that of the government. I listened to the last, it was the performance oversight hearing, and some of the concerns that we raised. And my team came up with an excellent idea, and they've already started to implement this. They've been holding office hours for payroll. So you can sign up and schedule in advance. That way you're not just waiting to do a virtual meeting, and we will help you resolve issues with your account or payroll. That was an outcome of the performance oversight hearing that you held, that we were able to pivot and apply immediately. And so I will ask my team to make themselves available for periods of time this summer as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I know that just in general, we're still getting questions about the services that DOES provides. How many customer service representatives do you have that are available to assist the public if they show up or if they try to do a walk-in to get an issue resolved?
Now, are you thinking for the entire agency, or are you talking about just SYEP?
I'm speaking of just the entire agency currently. Thinking about the adults that are always calling, want to make sure that we direct them appropriately.
Okay, let me start with SYEP, then I'm gonna walk back.
All right, great.
Okay, so we actually have a call center, and I have approximately 4 call takers that are dedicated to MBSYEP right now. And so if you call the call center, you can go through the prompts in the phone tree. If you need help with SYEP, there are people ready between the hours of 8:30 and 5 to accept a call for SYEP. That is the best way to reach us. Currently, at this moment, we're not taking walk-ins off the street for SYEP because my staff is fully engaged and immersed in getting the program up and running for the summer. Now, let's take a step back and talk about the agency writ large. We have 4 American job centers. Minnesota Avenue is headquarters. You can walk in if you are a constituent or DC resident, walk into the American Job Center and get help with anything from unemployment insurance to assistance with helping to find a job to even filing a paid family leave claim. We also have a call center, a consolidated call center with people who can answer calls about, the same things I just listed in the American Job Center. Both are open 8:30 to I think 4:30 Monday through Friday. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, we have 8 SYEP call takers.
Okay, 8 call takers for SYEP, because that's the hot issue now. But otherwise, your call center has how many operators from 8:30 to 4:30?
I'm gonna do a round number and say 32.
32. All right. So no one
Uh,
should not. The problem is sometimes there's no pickup. And when that happens a few times, a constituent then calls the council. And so we're just trying to figure out what's going on and how can we better serve them.
So I want to kind of unpack that a little bit, because the reality is that there are people picking up. And at the performance oversight hearing, I went through the call stats. Because this is SYEP, I did not prepare that data point on the call center, but we have a relatively low abandon rate. That means, the call is not intercepted. The person hangs up, or perhaps something happens, technologically. But we do have answer rates. We have abandon rates. And so someone does pick up. Now, there are periods of time where we receive more calls in some programs than others. And as you can imagine, unemployment insurance has the highest call volume in the entire agency, but the team does pick up. And we do have, see, this is what I get for doing quick back on the envelope math. We have 35 call takers currently. We're down compared to years prior. I've been higher. I've had close to 100 people, but we're currently at 35, given where we're at today.
Okay, thank you. So could you just remind us of the pay rate by which the young people will be paid through the summer employment program this year?
Sure. I have so many notes on my desk. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Here we go. All right. 14 and 15, $6.25 an hour. 16 to 21, $9 an hour. And then 22 to 24, today is $16.10. Should there be an increase in minimum wage, which we are anticipating that there will be, it'll be slightly higher, 17 even. Thank you, team.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So then I have to ask, I can understand. I was, you and I, we were 14, 15. So we understand. We're happy to have the money. We're happy to, work on our discovery project and show what we can do and move forward, and looking really excitedly at becoming 16. All right. So 16, $9. Okay. That's good money too. I can buy my favorite sneakers and stuff like that, perhaps. Now I'm at 22. Now the 22 to 24-year-olds that participate, are these the individuals that will serve as supervisors on the various location or work sites?
I mean, it is possible that they could serve as supervisors, depending the role. And I think I know where you're going with this, line of questioning around the wages. Are the wages competitive enough or strong enough to keep young people engaged fully in the program? And so
No, I really was going in on the other side. I want to make sure that if you're getting minimum wage, if you're getting what mom or dad or grandma or cousin is being paid on their, basic job, I want to make sure that you are also not only learning some strong adult skills, but that we are paying you because you are performing. And you're providing a service. I'm one that believes that, the so-called commerce world that we are subscribers to here in the district has to be one that works for everyone, and it should inform us as to how we earn a living, because that's what this is all about. And I want to make sure that in that understanding that young people have an opportunity to grow into a salary as opposed to, oh, well, you're this age, you get this salary. And I want you to have some responsibility, and therefore some authority for helping us to implement the program. So that was a little more of where I was. I'm not going to harp on whether or not the amount is too low. I don't think any of us can go there, because you can only give what you've got. And it may be too low if you are thinking that you are doing a full load of work, but we are talking about giving our young people a taste of of moving forward successfully, and that's how I see it. Now, I think that's the way you've explained the program to us.
Yes.
And that's certainly the understanding I had back in the day in 1980. So correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, that's right. I mean, it's supposed to be exploratory. It's supposed to give young people an introduction to the world of work. So no, that's exactly right. And for our older youth, they are making minimum wage. And so those young people have more substantive, not more substantive, but the introduction to work has already occurred for our older people. And so they will make minimum wage, and they will have different jobs than a 14 or 15-year-old. So that's correct.
Yes, yes. And so each participant works what, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours a day?
Yep. So each participant, thank you. Each participant works, 14 and 15-year-olds work 4 hours a day. Our 16 to 21-year-olds work 5 hours a day. The 22 to 24-year-olds could work between 6 and 8 hours a day, depending on the nature of their job.
All right. Okay, thank you. Does each participant get time for lunch or breaks?
Yes.
Okay. And are the breaks 15 minutes, or is there some time frame, or?
I mean, in theory, it should be 15 minutes. We ask that each host site to establish what the break time will be for the young people who are on site. For our 14 and 15-year-olds that are only engaged in this exploratory career activity for 4 hours a day, a break probably looks different
Yes.
than a 22-year-old that's working.
Right. And do we provide free lunches to our participants?
We currently are not providing free lunch to our participants. Our federal partners provide lunch to the participants. We may have a few other host sites that do, but as a general practice, that's not something we've been able to do or sustain.
Okay, but I would imagine that, knowing your strong suit, that you are thinking about how we can get to this.
Yes, I mean, I always have ideas about how we can further support our participants. I'd really like to invite you to visit our federal partners and see how they run their program, because I think that they have such a strong model and they're so committed. But perhaps we can work together on some ideas to support kids who might be food insecure. We do highlight the DCPS Kids Eat Free program. And, through DPR, there might be opportunities for young people to eat free as well. But it's not across the program.
Okay.
SYP.
Okay. Yes, let's please get together in the next few days and see what we can do about that. I think that could be an exciting agreement. I remember when I was a young person And if you told me that the federal work site is going to provide lunch, I'm going to try real hard to be chosen for one of those sites.
Yes.
And then I'm going to tell my friend who is in the local program, listen, I'm doing something you're not doing. And we don't want that kind of competition. We want to make sure that everyone's given same kind of opportunities to succeed, right?
And yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
There's some entities in our community we probably need to challenge to get on board right away. Seems to me the private sector and government entities, if you cannot be a bona fide work location, perhaps you can help to support a work location by supporting the needs of the young people with, maybe this is an opportunity to also do vouchers, luncheon vouchers, clothing vouchers.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can't challenge our private sector and nonprofits as well.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. Director, do you get comments from parents, the broader community, the business community, in particular that participates at work sites? I mean, do they really talk to you about the program? I mean, I know I'm talking a lot, but do they talk with you and query and think about how they can be helpful or?
Yes. There are two things that people stop me about 7 days a week, no matter where I'm at. And that's either unemployment insurance or MBSYEP. We have held parent focus groups. We've also held focus groups with the business community as part of our independent evaluation. We query the business community, but we're always trying to either make the program better, or B, keep up what we think is working really well. And what I know for sure is that people can tell you firsthand, because it's their own lived experience, that SYEP changed their life by giving them a chance. And so we want to keep that up. And we always look to the private sector and our CBOs if they have ideas that help us continue that very important legacy of someone's first job and chance to work.
So please tell us how the summer program differs from the year-round program that you have.
Sure. So the summer program serves a significantly larger amount of young people compared to the year-round program. The summer program is the longest standing and oldest internship program that the District of Columbia has. Additionally, we have more host sites from the private sector, community-based organizations, and government than the year-round program. I would say that SYEP is our hallmark program, and the level of effort and interest in comparison to the year-round program is extraordinarily larger than the year-round program.
So for the year-round program, are the goals similar to prepare a young person for the work world, to give them the experience?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you inform us as to the number of work sites that you have and how many participate? Want to kind of understand that and see if there aren't opportunities for more young people to participate.
And are you asking for the year-round program or for SYP?
The year-round program, yeah.
So for the year-round program, team, I might need your help here on this one. The school year internship program. Okay, so our year-round school year internship program currently has 1,137 young people participating in the program. Our goal was only 1,000. We have made 5 grant awards to have young people connected to the grantees to support their year-round activities. In terms of host sites, let me see if I can find out where the host site is. We may have to get the number of hosts. 70. We have 70 host sites, and the young people are earning $10 per hour. And I believe it's only 16 and 17-year-olds for the school year internship. 14 through 21. 14 through 21 in the school year internship program. You must be enrolled in school.
All right, and the
$10 an hour.
$10 an hour is for 2 hours or 4 hours?
10 hours a week.
Okay. All right, and could I please get a status update on that program, the year-round program, before, let's say by the 5th of
Sure.
April,
No
so that
problem.
we are prepared for the budget meeting.
No problem.
You know, I met some of the young people through the, what was it, Deanwood? Oh, Deanwood Radio. I was
Yes.
very impressed with them, and they seemed extremely motivated. And so I just was curious as to what might be some of the other work sites and how they are awarded. And then I also met the Manpower Group, which I think is really an arm or paid individuals through the empowerment program, or one of the empowerment programs. And so I'm trying to understand how these different programs work. And because they are seem to be extremely beneficial, just for transforming or transposing how these young people think about themselves in it, if for no other reason. So I just wondered how we can make sure that those continue and it can expand and programs like that come to the table.
Well, you know, we put out a call for grants, and we've awarded 5 organizations on the school year internship. On the SYP side, we've got contracts and a handful of grants. And so the human care agreements. And so, you know, that's an opportunity as well that's out there that people can seek to respond to either an RFA or solicitation through OCP.
Yes. And what's the value of those 5 grants?
For the school year internship program,
Yes.
225,000 for 5 grants. CW&A LLC, the Fresh Food Factory Market, Empowerment Enterprise 2, Pathways United, and C2 Genomics.
All right.
Is that right, Genomics?
I have no idea what any of that means, but we'll get from you a description of those programs. That would be very helpful. Anything that's working for our young people and for our community, we want to know more about and publicize it, quite honestly, and see if we can't get more that are looking at this. All right. Well, Madam Director, I want to thank you and your staff for participating in today's public roundtable. I'm glad that we're taking the time to discuss this important program, and we look forward to finding ways to reach out again, maybe in another month or, 6 weeks. Just want to make sure that we stay on target and that the public stays focused on, the benefits of such an important program. So that's the purpose of today's hearing. If the public would like to submit any testimony, please email it to CEAL@dccouncil.gov, and that's CEAL@dccouncil.gov. It will be included in our roundtable record. The record for today will close at 5 p.m. on Monday, April 3rd, 2023. And thank you again, Madam Director.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The committee's next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 28th of March at 12 noon. This will be our first budget oversight hearing on the mayor's proposed FY24 budget. And it will include the Board of Elections, the Office of Campaign Finance, the Board of Ethics and Government Accountability, and the Office of the Inspector General. With that said, this concludes our roundtable today, and the time is 11:05 a.m. on the same day that we started, March 24th, 2023, and this meeting is adjourned. Thanks to everyone again. Thank you.
Thank you.